My name is Ella Penzick, and this is my future classroom. I think that as a dual major in elementary and special education, I want my students to be active in everything they do. I want to create an environment that is spacious and welcoming enough for active learning techniques. After taking the Ed Reading class, I have learned that I really want to incorporate whole brain learning in my class, especially in literacy teaching. I think that utilizing this technique will allow students to access literacy to their full potential. I believe that this method can be used in word work to work on vocabulary, or even in guided reading. I think that guided reading is useful. Originally, I found guided reading to not be my preferred method of teaching because I did not want to single out struggling students. But I have learned there are methods to not just separate students by their levels for assessment, but I can also provide texts that allow for choice that will mix my groups up. I see now that I can have the benefits of guided reading without the singling of my students out. I think that pairing guided reading with whole brain learning will allow both ends of my students, high ability and those who are struggling, to get the instruction they need and allow them to grow as learners. I think that this method of guided reading will support my diverse learners. I think that the guided reading will help my English language learners. I think it will allow me to take the time to get that one-on-one time with those students to work through the English curriculum slowly. It allows me to see what the students need to take more time to work on. I also want to use some participation techniques I learned, specifically the processing cards. I think that this would be helpful for students to take their time to think, while also not feeling like they are singled out. I would also like to post decorations in my classroom to celebrate diverse learners, such as sign language posters, or even labeling things around the room in other languages. I think that all the techniques and plans for instructions I have talked about will help define the students' roles as well as my own in the classroom. I think that a teacher should act as a facilitator throughout the whole learning process. I think I should carefully plan my lesson and activities to allow my students to explore the content at their own pace. I think it will foster independence. And if a student needs something, I will have more time as a teacher to meet with students individually. I think that this will allow me to assess students formatively throughout the independent work time and also during guided reading. This will allow me to see where I need to remediate and when I can move on in the curriculum. I really want my room to be welcoming to students. I want students to have their own assigned place in the classroom. It is important for students to have somewhere to go and a place to claim as their own. I would also like to get a really comfy reading space so that way it can encourage students to read. Lastly, I think having a cool down space in the classroom would also be something beneficial to have. I know that working independently can be stressful, so having a space where students can recharge their emotions would be very helpful in the classroom. Thank you for watching my future classroom.